Hello everyone and welcome to the video, and today we're going to be talking about just the Apex Legends tier list for Season 5 and specifically Split 2. So this is going to be the updated meta, and this is most likely going to be pretty accurate in my opinion at least. If you don't agree with some of the things on my list, that's completely fine. Just comment below which you would switch. But before we get into the video, I do want to say about 90% of you guys are not already subbed, and whereas that number is going down, it would help me out a ton if you could drop a sub if you are watching this and you're not already. So let's get right into the video. So the classification system I'm going to be going with and the ranks for the tier list is going to be SS being the highest, S, A, B, and C going down in that order. So obviously SS is going to be borderline broken and should be picked most games. And then S is like an awesome pick as well. A is going to be a solid pick. I'll talk a little bit more about it when I go into each legend. And then B will be the lower than average, and then C being do not pick. So this is mostly just a ranked tier list. This is going to be a lot different if you just play pubs. This will probably not apply to you because some of these legends excel in ranked, but not so much in pubs. But we're going to start it off at the C tier, the lowest tier, and we're going to work our way up. So coming in at the last spot in the C tier, we have Mirage. So this may come as a surprise to you just because Mirage just got a buff and everyone's loving him. He has that the new ult, and it is pretty confusing sometimes, but for the most part Mirage at this point still does not bring a whole lot of team fight value, especially in ranked. He doesn't really have any abilities in his kit that help you do anything. So I think Mirage right now is the worst legend in the game just because of that. He doesn't really bring any value, and in terms of every other legend, he just seems like the clear last place. So I think he definitely needs a little bit more team abilities, something that helps him in team fights and stuff like that. So next up we have Octane. And Octane just recently got a buff, but I still do not believe he is amazing. His jump pad has a double jump, so now he's able to take high ground a little bit better, and he can help his team get up on high ground, and I've seen it used pretty effectively even in high tier ranked games. So that's why Octane is no longer the worst legend. I wouldn't consider him a great pick, but he does bring some value, which I definitely think that it was much needed, and I feel like just one more buff might be what's needed to send him over the edge and make him a solid legend with a high pick rate. But as of right now, Octane has not seen enough. His L1, the stim, is still not very good. I think there's a bug right now where he goes full sprint and can hit a battery, but that's nothing more than a bug, so we can't consider that in his actual kit and use it to base his actual rating off of, so that's why he is in the C tier. He does bring a little bit of value with his jump pad, but for the most part, not a very good legend, and probably should not be picked in ranked. So next up we have the B tier, and coming up first in the B tier, and I kind of struggled a little bit putting this legend either in the B or the C, whether I should put Octane higher up or not, but I put Loba in the B tier just above Octane. They're pretty much neck and neck, so if you believe that Octane's better than Loba, that's fine, that's understandable. It's definitely debatable, so I think that Loba just brings a little bit more value because she does have that L1, which is pretty cool, and whereas it does have that little pause at the end when you land, it is still a pretty awesome ability, and I feel like it really helps her out in her kit with her getaways, and her ult is pretty awesome too. I feel like she can really help late game, especially in those ranked games where you can get some sort of value from picking up, things that are in boxes that you might not be able to access. If you put it indoors, obviously it won't be shot out or anything, so you don't have to worry about that. She's not a great legend. She's not outstanding, but she's decent. If you picked her, I think that there's a lot more picks that you should go with. So I would pretty much avoid her because she's a below average legend in Apex right now. So next up we have Bloodhound, and this is going to finalize the B tier. This is going to be the last legend in the B tier. Bloodhound could arguably be higher, but I just feel like with Bloodhound's kit, you get a lot of value out of the L1, but the ultimate is pretty much useless. You get more movement speed, and you get to see in black and white, which is basically just a digital threat. I don't think it's that good. It could be good if you're fighting Bangalores or Caustics, but for the most part, the ultimate is what holds Bloodhound back from being an amazing legend, because Bloodhound's scan is absolutely amazing. So obviously I would put Bloodhound a lot higher in this list if they had a better ult. So now we're in the A tier, and Coming up first in the A tier, we have Bangalore. So Bangalore has always been a pretty balanced legend. They really haven't done a whole lot to change Bangalore. I think they buffed her ult a little while back, and I think there's a new buff coming for Bangalore in the near future. So she's probably going to go up in the list. But as of right now, she has a very, very complete kit with her L1 with the smokes, which can give you safe rotations. You could smoke enemies. You can do a lot of things with the smokes that make them very valuable. Including stopping third parties with her ultimate as well. Her ultimate is amazing for zoning, and paired with the smokes, you can get away from a lot of fights with Bangalore, and you could also rotate pretty easily. So I feel like Bangalore is one of the most solid all-around legends in the game, and that's why I put her in the A tier, just because I feel like if you were going to main Bangalore, that is completely fine with me. I like having Bangalores on my team, and whereas there are legends that bring more value to the table, she is not a bad legend to main, and I feel like that's the case for pretty much every legend in the A tier. They are good to main, but there are definitely some options that are better, and that's pretty much where Bangalore falls. So next up in the A tier, we have Lifeline. So Lifeline just recently got a nerf. It's funny, I made a tier list video right before the big update that changes pretty much every legend, and I was pretty mad about it because the entire tier list changed, and obviously these videos take a little bit to make. So Lifeline was actually the second worst legend in the game on my tier list, and now she is bumped all the way up to the A tier. She has a lot of value, especially in team fights, when she can res during the fight, which is incredible, and the value that you can get from that is insane. It's very difficult to, especially when it comes down to a 1v1. If the enemy has a lifeline and he just starts slapping the reses, it's very, very difficult to fight against it because you're put in a position where now you either have to rush the lifeline and he can just pop out from behind the shield and smoke you, or you just let him get the res and then he will get the other res and then you'll probably lose because it'll be a 3v1. So Lifeline can put you in a very difficult position, especially mid-fight. Lifeline could also get the res and then knock somebody, which could even the fight out and then even give your team the advantage. She's being played a good amount in ranked. I've even played her myself, and she does feel pretty awesome. In addition, her ultimate, you can get free purple armors pretty early in the game, especially with the charge towers back on Kings Canyon. You were able to charge that up completely and then get a free purple armor, and using ultimate accelerants as well, you can get pretty much 2 care packages before even leaving your first initial spot. So in that aspect, Lifeline is definitely a great legend, solid legend, and that's why she's in the A tier. So next up we have Pathfinder. Pathfinder comes in at the A tier at the top spot. I feel like Pathfinder's grapple is still pretty awesome. I know it has a 35-second cooldown, so you can't just swing around everywhere anymore. That's no longer the case. You have to be a little bit more strategic when using his actual L1, and you kind of have to save it. But mid-fights, you know, that high ground take always is amazing. Especially something I've been doing, even in high-tier lobbies, has been working, where I just grapple, play super aggro and just grapple onto somebody and just demolish them in that way, because it's very hard to stop a Pathfinder who's just flying towards you. You'd have to shoot them and fry them out of the air, but for the most part, they're just going to land on you and probably, you know, do some damage there. So Pathfinder's amazing for high damage as well as high ground takes and getting better positioning mid-fight. And his zipline got nerfed as well, and that's the only reason I wouldn't put Pathfinder in the S tier. Zipline nerf was definitely a little bit too much. Now his zipline is not even that good, just because you only have 2 jumps on it, and then if you jump again, you get thrown off. So it's pretty hard to rotate on it. You just kind of get lasered off every time, and it's a death sentence. So next up, we have the S tier, and in the S tier, as the bottom spot, we have Wattson. So I'll get to why exactly Wattson is in the bottom spot for the S tier, but basically she still brings a lot of value. As you can tell, she's in the S tier. S tier basically means that it is a priority pick, and you really can't go wrong with any of these legends. So obviously Wattson brings a lot of value with her fences. She's very good at zoning and holding down areas and locking down larger areas, much better than Caustic at large areas and open areas as well. So Wattson just recently got a little bit of a rework where she her actual shield gen does not last forever anymore, but she is able to hold 2 ultimate accelerants in 1 stack, so you can basically get 4 ultimate accelerants by just taking up 2 inventory spots, which is pretty awesome. And whereas it does last only 90 seconds, you can pretty much get away with it because for the most part, you know, you just avoid putting the shield gen down when you're not fighting. And then if you feel like people are going to start, you know, rushing or throwing nades or stuff like that, then you just throw it down, and you have 4 accelerants on you, so, you know, it's really not that big of a deal. The only problem with Watson, I feel like, is that now Crypto is kind of meta. And Crypto is a direct counter to Watson, so if you get pushed by a Crypto, EMP, all that stuff's gone, and they're going to get a free push on you. So that's why Watson is in the bottom of the S tier, but still an amazing legend. So next up we have Gibraltar. And Gibraltar is still a very, very good legend, especially now on, this side of the map. We have World's Edge map. Obviously, there's a lot of space. There's a lot of open area, and it's very difficult to rotate sometimes, as well as just the third party. So Gibraltar's like a third party specialist. And what I mean by this is defending from the third party, because basically, as you guys know in ranked, you get third party constantly. So if you get done fighting, Gibraltar throws down a bubble, and it's very difficult for that team to push you at this point because now you get a free heal off. They can no longer pick at you from long range with G7s and stuff like that. So you're all grouped up, you're healing, and then you get max health, and then you could decide what you want to do next. So it's almost like you pause time for a little bit, recuperate, and extend that third party from coming and prevent them from getting very close to you. So he's still a great legend, and that is why he is in the S tier. So next up we have Crypto, and this might be surprising to a lot of people because I feel like a lot of people think that Crypto's bad. I feel like people still think Crypto's bad, but the reality of it is that Crypto is being played almost constantly in high tier ranked games. I've seen so many Crypto EMPs in the last 3 days, I can't even describe it. Pretty much, it's a guaranteed that you get third partied and a Crypto EMP comes in and just destroys you, and then it's paired with Revenant's ult. So it's pretty much a disaster when people run Wraith, Revenant, Crypto. It's definitely meta right now, and people are running it and pretty much abusing it. It's so difficult to stop a full push when they are Revenant ulting and the EMP comes in and takes away 50 of your shield. Very, very difficult to fight against, and that is why Crypto is definitely in the top spot. The EMP is so powerful right now, as well as he can grab banners. If your teammates die, he can grab banners, which is something that is so difficult to do because a lot of people camp boxes. It's something that's seen constantly. People will camp your box, and they will avoid your teammates from getting the res, but if you are Crypto, you can fly in with a drone, grab a banner, grab the other one, and you pretty much do it very, very safely without putting yourself in harm's way. So I think in that aspect he's also amazing, but Crypto is definitely a top legend right now in Apex Legends and arguably meta. So next up we have Caustic. And Caustic and Crypto can kind of go back and forth as the top spot of S tier, but basically Caustic right now is like a free win in ranked. Like, it's insane. If you can get to the last circle with Caustic and you have your ult ready, it's a free win. You just ult the last circle and there's nothing the other team can do. They basically can't see through the smoke. They can't move. They can't do anything. They're stunned. They're slowed. And Caustic's just flying through his gas, just destroying people, melting them. And with the barrels that he could throw out, he does so much damage in the final circle that it's almost a guaranteed win if you have a Caustic. So a lot of people feel like Caustic is kind of a cop-out because it's such a free win, and I'm not even joking, guys. Like, if you've ever fought a Caustic in the last circle, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It's incredibly frustrating, and the only type of people that can go against it is another Caustic. So Caustic, even though he definitely got that nerf with the barrels and being able to shoot them, he is still an amazing legend and pretty much a free win. So next up we have the SS tier, and these are the best legends in the game, and there's only 2 of them that made this list. Previously in my other tier list, there was always only 1 legend in the SS tier, and now there's 2. So coming in at the first spot at the SS tier is Revenant. So Revenant has seen a lot of changes specifically to his death totem. He now has 2 silences, but the death totem is the big deal because he had the 2 silences and he still wasn't that amazing, but then they changed his death totem to now it has infinite range. And since it has infinite range, now you can basically get free pushes off, and then when paired with Wraith's Portal, you can literally get free pushes and then teleport right back to the fight and destroy teams. I mean, it is absolutely insane at how effective this actually is for pushing teams. It's so free and easy that you just demolish teams, run them over, and you're done fighting in like less than 30 seconds. And we're not even talking about his silences. The silences are also insane because he can throw his silences right before someone's going to rotate, especially late game. If he knows there's a team behind a rock, that's a common thing. People will take whatever cover they can get. So if a Revenant knows there's a team behind a rock, right before the zone is about to start coming in, Revenant will L1 the rock. So now they have to run right into it. They're going to lose their abilities, and they're not going to be able to rotate anymore. It's especially useful when you hit a Wraith, that their plan A was to portal around and, make that portal play to the next circle, and now they can no longer do that, and everyone kind of has to fend for themselves, and he gets 2 of them, so he could just launch them. So Revenant in that aspect is incredibly useful for preventing rotations, and you get free pushes, so Revenant's an outstanding legend right now and definitely belongs in the SS tier. So coming in at the top spot, it is Wraith. So Wraith is still the best legend in my opinion. The portal nerf was big, I understand that, but she still gives your team free rotation. She still has that small hitbox, and whereas you have that low profile nerf, she can still play the bruiser role. She's pretty hard to hit still, and her L1 was literally buffed. A lot of people think that since it takes more time that it was a nerf, but that was in fact a buff because you can move faster and it lasts longer, so you can get longer distances and you can get to cover a lot easier. So even though it does take a little bit to activate, it's no longer a get out of jail free card, but if you're using Wraith the right way, real Wraith mains will know that that was actually a buff, and her portal was just a nerf. That was a flat out nerf. That was a huge nerf. But even still, I still believe that Wraith is the best legend in the game because of her kit. Her portal allows her to get free rotations, which I cannot even express how important that is, and that's why Wraith is definitely the best legend in the game for Season 5 of Apex Legends. So, that's pretty much it for today's video, so thank you guys for watching, and I will see you next time.